Well, good morning, Brew Crew. It is Sunday morning. This would be day two of, not day two. This would be the weekend of the 24-hour POTA campout that I'm currently on, but I'm probably sitting here in the chat with you guys or diligently pounding away and making some contacts. So hopefully, you got a chance to hang out with us during both Friday's live stream of our steak and whiskey night. That was just a regular live free and ham live stream. And, the 24-hour POTA has been going on. And so I'm sure we've been having a blast. And I know if I'm in the chat, I'll let you guys know, which is kind of a weird thing to say when you're doing some of these pre-records here. But all in all, good to have you guys here hanging out and watching the videos. And, I always appreciate all the support. But for those that are just joining today, I should say this morning, I'm Eric, call sign N1JUR. I've been the park guide, POTA mentor. I am a lover of all things POTA. Good morning. Welcome to everybody. And all those in the chat, thanks again for, connecting back up to Brew. Geez, see, I'm not even started into the week with this video, and I'm already, feeling like I'm very, very tired. But, it's like I said, I'm probably half awake, and, this is definitely a good example of me being half awake. Well, hopefully you guys got a chance to participate in the fundraiser. We are doing something really, really cool that that's really close to my heart. As I shared maybe last week, and I shared it a couple of times. I have been witness and firsthand experience of having a teacher go through TI and having that teacher come into their school year totally on fire for ham radio. And so it's a really, really close thing to me to see that as a way to be able to get people educated, way teachers get educated and up to speed to be able to get into and start introducing ham radio into the classroom. So I really appreciate that. So, definitely give, if you can donate and be part of that and help out, we're trying to raise as much as we possibly can within that 24 hours for, the TI Institute and Steve Goodgame, because all that stuff is not paid for the ARL. It's all raised on his own and through donations and connections with vendors and stuff. And it's just awesome stuff. So yeah, definitely head over there and check that out. It's definitely going on still. And I'll throw the link is definitely in the description of this episode. So you can head over there and check that out and support us and get some real-time updates. You might see me in 3 places at once. It's never been documented until now. So for those that, like I said, joined for the first time, checking out Brew Activate, welcome. We are 100%, a POTA, focused program where we talk about and we explore and we analyze and reconstruct and rebuild everything about POTA and Parks on the Air. So whether you're an activator, maybe you're a chaser, or just curious about this ham radio hobby, then, you come to the right place. Each week we do a live stream, but these two, you just might have caught us in a place where, I had to kind of prepare stuff, which is totally fine, but we'll be back on the horse again and doing live streams starting next week. So fear not, we'll be back in that. But until then, grab your favorite brew or tea, get comfy, and let's dive into it. So with every Brew and Activate, we like to do a little segment called the POTA Minute. So I am going to kick that off here. All right. Well, this is the POTA Minute. And so if you're new to this, the POTA Minute is basically where I kind of talk about a topic, issue, something I found related to the Parks on the Air program that I want to share with you, drop a little nugget of truth. And again, if you want to help contribute, you want to be part of this as kind of a reward, I am offering anybody, if they head over to our Discord, and post your POTA minute there. It can be about anything. It can be questions. It can be topics around Parks on the Air, POTA, maybe a little bit of a rub that you're struggling with and you need to get a little bit of clarification. Post it over there in the Discord, or you can send me an email at n1jur.nh@gmail.com, and we'll make sure we share it on the next POTA Minute. And so for this week's POTA Minute, I'm going to talk about, kind of apropos, we're going to talk about the Parks on the Air website, specifically around club activations. So if you're maybe part of a club in your ham radio circles, and they don't currently have a POTA page or POTA account for the club call sign, if you do happen to have a club call sign, then you probably want to head over to this page itself. This is over at docs.pota.app, and you can find this over at the pota.app website directly under the Parks on the Air documentation section. This is specifically for a guide that they created called Parks or Club Call Activation Guide. And this is a very well written guide. I used it to follow along with my setup and getting Whiskey 1 Live Free and Ham. That's our podcast call sign set up and created. And Grouch, who was actually at Montesano for the week of Huntsville, he activated there, and so we've uploaded the log there and got that all sectioned. But they have a really great layout of how to set up your club call sign for Parks on the Air, how and what needs to be done, how you deal with logging, how you deal with all of those components that you'd expect when you're actually trying to plan for and do the day of your activation. Super helpful reference. I followed it to a T when setting up all of our laptops and configurations for our 24-hour station. So highly recommend you checking this out and looking at the details here, because it's very well written and very, very easy to follow and get you going, especially if you're looking to get activated on your club. So that is my POTA Minute for this week, although it's not quite fully a minute. It is definitely something that I wanted to share with you guys, and hopefully you got something out of it. If you're maybe activating or consider activating maybe your club's call sign, definitely reach out to them and check out that guide up on their website, and you probably won't go wrong. I know I didn't. So, and as always, head over to our Discord, email me if you've got a topic about POTA or anything in and around POTA, whether it's the dumpster fire we call Facebook, or anything that you see up on the Mastodon or Discord servers, or just in general conversations you've had with others, and you just want some clarification, please share. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll share that on the next minute and hopefully learn from one another. So let's talk a little bit of some stuff that's going on. Obviously, like I mentioned, we are already full-fledged into our 24-hour POTA campout for Live Free and Ham. This has been, sure, a blast. All of the excitement, anticipation that was building up to that point is now kind of all released, and everybody's probably a little tired, a little bit hungover, maybe, I don't know. But all in all, we're super excited to have make contacts. And so if you haven't had a chance, definitely check the spotting page for Whiskey 1 Lima Foxtrot Hotel. And that is our Live Free and Ham Club vanity call sign. And we'll be working at Greenfield State Park, which is US 2566, I think, is our 2655. One of the two. My dyslexia is kicking in. But we'll definitely be up on the spotting page. Check us out there. And we'll be doing a digital FT8, FT4, JSA call. We're going to do slow scan TV because a lot of our club folks that are coming and attending that weekend wanted to do slow scan stuff. So, if you want to get in some good shots and have some fun with slow scan TV, we'll be doing that, as well as sideband and CW. So there'll be a bunch of, modes and bands all happening and all going on throughout the weekend. And like I said, we'll be live streaming too. So, you'll be able to see some of the familiar faces, and, we'll be giving away a ton of stuff. And so we're also there to help support TI. Don't forget about that. Head on over and give us some love and show, that and help TI out, because it's definitely something that is super beneficial to our future and all the students and kids that get a chance to get their hands on ham radio. I'm if you know me, you've been over to my website N1JUR, my story. It kind of mimics that. I had a lot of mentors and a couple of high school electronics teachers who worked with our local club and got us involved. And got me to make a contact with the Space Shuttle Atlantis when it was roving over. Of course, I probably failed out of English, but that's another story for another day. We'll have to bring that up sometime soon. So, all in all, it's good. So let's kind of get into today's topic. Like I alluded to last week, we are going to talk around my POTA kit. I've got some of my stuff over here on the bench on the right that I'm going to do kind of just a little show and tell. My thought was to kind of give you guys some insight on how I do POTA. Now, again, the nice part about POTA is that there's not one size fits all. It's kind of what you have to get started. It will get you going. So don't worry about, having all the right gear or all the great stuff and the latest and greatest, because you can easily do parks on the air with a simple, radio that's in front of you. And a couple of, easy antennas. If you like to build stuff, you can make it even cheaper for yourself. But overall, we are moving towards, sharing some of that with you and maybe give you a couple little tidbits and insight. So we're going to dive into my bag in a second. So let's get into this. So, all right, head on over to the bench here. Okay, so here's my bench cam. So we got a lot over here on the bench currently. I'm going to use my trusty little MFJ pointer here just because I'm still working out a way that I can get a microphone over on my bench. So as we start to kind of do this a little bit more, I start to add to my equipment and start to improve, my streaming capabilities. So, yep, we'll have a mic eventually so I can actually do stuff on the bench and still be able to record and live stream as well. So let's kind of go through a little bit here. There's a lot over here currently on the bench you might see. And some of it might be super familiar. Some of them might be a surprise to you, but let's kind of go into some of the details. So I'm going to start over on my radio side here. So this is my 891 here. This is my tried and true with the zero config rails. These are the aluminum ones. My story with that is my 891, I took to Florida to go watch my son play college ball. At the start of his season, and I think his junior or sophomore year, and my wife said, I can activate some parks down there. And of course I had 3D printed rails on there, and I had it in my carry-on bag, and I could only imagine what would happen if I kept it in a, or checked it as luggage. But by the time I got back home, the rails, the 3D printed rails had disintegrated. And I said, nope, sorry, going to spend the extra money. So heat of advice, if you have an 891 or you have any radio in that sense and you haven't gotten like an armor lock cage for it, if you don't like that style, but you want to have something that's a little more open, like these rails here, then head on over. And I will actually, just as I was thinking about it, I will try to put all the links to all of the stuff I talk about today in the description so you can easily click them and find, a link to that and whatnot. So kind of rotating through, I have off the side of here, which you can't see, is a cable, basically like an RJ45 splitter, which I have over here. This is a two-way splitter itself. For those that might not be familiar, what I do with my radio, because it's a very big of a challenge to take these side rails on and off to get the faceplate off, I just put an extension cable off the side that should basically look like an RJ45 cable with a female end on the other end. And then I have a two-way splitter, which is right here, what you're looking at, my pointer here. This is great because I carry sometimes when I do a dual activation, instead of doing past the mic, I just bring a spare mic, and that has always been a great, way to be able to not have to constantly hand the mic, pass the mic. And you can basically, easily as operators, click the mic and engage the PTT, and that splitter does a great job for what I have set up in the configuration, and has served me well, and I continue to use it. Keep in mind with that one, just as kind of like a sidebar, let me grab it real quick and I'll show you what I mean. On the connectors itself, these connectors As you can see, it's a dual RJ45 connector. They do get dirty, and the problem is I don't have plugs for these. And so if you get a chance to get plugs for them, it'll keep the dirt and dust out of them, because I have seen over a while the flexibility and the cables inside are just very weak, and from pulling and pushing and stuff like that, that those pins can get a little bit, damaged or cause a little bit of connectivity problems. So make sure you kind of clean it out with a little bit of air. And, if you can get RJ45 plugs for it, then you'll be in better shape and be able to, get more enjoyment out of it and not have to worry about it falling, into disarray. All right. So kind of rolling through here. I've got a device which probably a lot of folks may or may not recognize. This little pad here is a kind of a quick key pad. And so those in the CW world might recognize the FH2. And so this is the little keypad, and it's got a little mini DIN connector on the end of it. I use this when I'm doing long activations. When I originally bought it, I thought, heck, I'm going to, plan to use this more and more. I actually used it with my 1,000 or my kilo that I did at Reed's Ferry. It worked out great. You just basically pre-program messages into it. And so that those that know the 891, you can go into the menu and pre-program buttons, and those buttons then can be mapped to this little device. So if you want to, map your pre-recorded messages, you can map those to this device. If you want to map your CW, calls, and that type of stuff, you can do that to this device. It's very handy. I probably underutilize it, but when I do a lot of the activations that, like my kilo, I used it quite much then. These are a little pricey. Yaesu loves to mark the heck out of this stuff up. They're really not worth the cost of what they are. And I don't even know what the current price is or if they even are producing these any longer. But for the money I paid, you could probably find a homebrew one that I know, like Ham Radio Dude has done reviews and a few others, and those are out there. But if you're interested in finding out what those links are, I'm happy to kind of send them off to you and I can, show you. But this is the FH2. Very useful and in terms of comfort and being able to just lie back and not have to constantly like hunch over the radio to press the pre-programmed record button on my radio. So that's been a kind of a comfort tool, we'll say. So as we're kind of working my way through here, obviously not anything new is the typical microphone that Yaesu comes up with. This is my watt meter. And again, it's power pulled. I took a tip from K-Murder and shortened up the leads quite a bit on this because I really wanted to keep the two fused connections to the negative and positive in play. But I didn't want to carry around 500 yards of, number 10 or 12 gauge wire in the bag. So I shortened it up, put power poles on the end of them. And then I tied this into the watt meter. Now, these watt meters aren't 100% accurate. They're a little bit off for sure. But I use it, obviously, to, determine where my battery state is. It's been handy in the sense of telling me, hey, idiot, you did forget to charge your battery the night before. I've got a few activations that I've done in the past that, showed me that my battery voltage had dropped so low that the battery was basically just powering down the radio. The watt meter is definitely something I always keep in line, always use, and definitely, it comes out every time I activate and hooks up to the radio. Now, if we scoot down, this is just a battery bank here. This is USB-C and USB-A. I think it's probably, I don't think it's more than 10,000 watts. I'll have to look at it. Actually, let me grab it here and I can tell you exactly what it is. But this little device is right around, it's 2,000 milliamp hours and has USB-C and USB-A on it and charges via, mini USB which, or, factor is, it's pretty old. It's just got a status symbol light on the front of it. So it tells you exactly how many bars and what it's charged. I usually use this if my cell phone doesn't get a good charge or I have to charge small little devices. It's probably not powerful enough to be able to handle any of my 12-volt accessories like the 891. Although I know, some of the bigger ones that a lot of the other YouTubers use, KM4ACK and K-Murder and all those guys, they have a larger, bigger battery bank, which I have in my other bag that I might swap out with this one. But I definitely like the form factor of this one, and it fits nicely in my bag. So it's very helpful in that sense. So, and it's really just for like small little accessories. And it's actually got a little light on it. So if, you want to, does this show? Come on. Yeah, so the light, there we go. So there's a little light there. So it's kind of helpful if you are out in the activation and you need a little extra boost in your cell phone light isn't going to, cut it, or, its battery's dying too as well. All right, plowing through here. So I've got 3 things here. So this device and the device underneath it, which is right here, is my laptop for digital mode. So this is just a Surface Pro laptop with a tablet, and I think it's like a 3rd or 4th generation. It's been serving me well. The battery on it lasts quite a while. I usually just keep it charged up if I'm not using it in my charging station. And if you want to see my charging station setup, just head on over to my channel, N1JUR, and I did a video on that. You can check all of how I charge all these devices. But my primary logging laptop is just an iPad, 12th generation iPad, I think it is, with a Bluetooth keyboard, and I keep all that charged up. Its biggest, supply or biggest perk is that it's got a data cell connection in it already. So it helps, when I'm trying to log, as long as I have good cell service, I can easily, pull QRZ information for my logging and stuff like that. So it makes it more convenient, but not required per se. So, all right. Now, on top of that, I've got, as any YouTuber does, I've got my stickers. And in this bag here, it's just an old DJI. I also keep, like I said, stickers for, Live Free and Ham, for all of things like, Groucho stickers, my stickers, so forth and so on. But the one thing that I really love a lot is this card. Our club, and I created this for our club. It's a little 3x5 card, and on the front of it, you'll see what is ham radio. And what I found is that, and that picture is actually a club member's son that I dug out of our archives and used for the background. On the other side, there's just basically this QR code for people to scan, and that'll bring them right to our club call to action page. And it basically just kind of describes to whoever's the receiver of the card, what ham radio is, how to get involved, what we're doing, kind of thing. So if I, explained it to them and they're like, kind of, okay, I'm not quite sure how to, deal with all this, the card they can take with them, and we give them all out to our club members for free. So if you're interested in making one of these yourselves and you've got a couple of pages you want to point to or whatever, let me know and I can show you. I can send you the instructions I did, but I usually keep it with me, and it's a great way to be able to let folks know more about ham radio and not have to have a 3x5 POTA pamphlet, which again, not a bad thing. I used to carry a lot of those around, but I found they just got destroyed after a while because of just wear and tear of my bag. So I held those off, and we didn't, I ended up going with the 3x5 card. The next kind of item we're going to talk about is my makeup bag. So these 3 things right here, I have a cable bag for all of my USB-C, USB-A devices, extension cables for charging, a couple different Android phones as well as older iPhones. And all those are just kind of in this bag, and keep them all open. And I love the clear bags. So these are, as you can see, they're see-through. So you can literally see everything that's in here at a quick glance and not have to open them up, or not have to, Because if you're like myself, you suffer from CRS, and you can't remember ship. And with that, you end up opening the bag because your color schemes, you forgot what they do. I've got a DigiRig bag, so for everything that I need to do digital with, it's all in here, including my FT8 DigiRig device, which I love. I love the fact that one less cable makes my life that much easier. And then my sundry of connectors. So I've got SMA connectors for radio HTs. I've got BNCs to SMAs. I've got literally, I think every connector I need to be able to gender change to a different type of antenna that I either have or I bring with me, that someone brings with me when I do an activation. Now, here's the tip with this thing. I do not, and repeat after me, do not bastardize your bags. If you take an adapter out of this, I have a little list, a little 3x5 card that I don't have right with me, but that I reference on my computer that tells me all of the connectors I have. And so every couple of months, every season roughly, I'll go through and check that I have every connector I need in here to be able to do I have. Because there's a couple of times that I'll let someone borrow something and I'll forget to get it back from them, or I'll attach it to an antenna that doesn't have those connectors, and I forget to take them off after I put them, through, whatever use scenario that I'm doing. So it's always going to be one of those things that as long as you don't take from this bag, in the sense that you're using somewhere else in another POTA bag, then, you'll always have every connector you need. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to do, I'll have a Reliance NTED 56-to-1 antenna with me, and that's got a small BNC connector if I don't get SMAs, or if I don't get SO239s on them. And, I don't have a way to go from SO239 to BNC. Well, that's a problem. So it's kind of my lessons I've learned along the way, and definitely been super helpful to be making everything of my activation that much better. I also have this little loom of paracord orange wire, which is very helpful. I find any colored wire is at least a little bit of an indicator that people pick up on more than having black wire. And it's just basically got a carabiner on the end of it, so I can clip it to a bench or clip it to some anchor point, and then throw the line or use it to tie down something or whatever. And it's not super long. I think it's like 35-40 feet long. So it's very just kind of useful in a pinch kind of thing. I've got also over here in the top corner, you might be looking at these going, what the heck are these? I can't tell you how many times, hey, you're putting an antenna up and you're out in the woods, and up here in New England, we have pine trees. And if you know what pine trees are like, they are the most sappiest pains in the ass when it comes to getting stuff and sap all over your equipment and gear and hands. So if you throw up in the pine trees, and I do that from time to time, having these handy wipes and these cleaning wipes are super helpful, and I keep them tucked in my bag. So if I ever need them or I need to clean my hands, I don't have to worry about sticking up my gear, and they're always ready available. And coupled with that, stick-it notes. I keep a couple of pads in there and a Write as Rain pen with me, or a pen, the micro pens, and I can write on them. The reason for it is I don't always remember calls when I'm in, pile up. And if I'm trying to remember stuff, having that little extra notepad around to be able to jot down the call that I heard as well as the call I'm answering. So I can just kind of keep the flow going, and I don't have to keep saying QRZ and hoping that last call that I can't remember the call sign of shows up. Because I do all electronic logging, and you can't always, there's not like a place I can, unless I have a notepad field open. But I usually just am a one app man. So that app is that whatever's up stays up and nothing ever comes. So having the stick it note is very helpful, especially, when I can jot something down for, later use that I can put into a note on my phone. So that is all of my gear that I have in my bag. I'm not going to go into antennas, guys, because here's my thought. I think we should save it for another episode. But those that, might already be a subscriber to my channel know that all the antennas that I have on my channel are all stuff I review and use in-house. So it's not something that I hide, but I can definitely use another time to be able to go into the process of how I set up my antenna bags, because I do like to, where I say, you know, when I use these types of bags, I do like to do that same thing with my antennas. And the reason why I do that is because I don't know about you, I have a tough time always trying to remember what antenna I grab, and I don't want to be able to spend a whole lot of time preparing the night before. I like to grab and go. So I have a couple of large camera tripod bags that I have all my verticals in, and they're all labeled with a little label on it that says which one it is. So I'll have a Mad Dog antenna. I have my Lazy Dog bag now, and I've got another vertical that I'm testing that I don't want to let anybody know on, but that third bag. And so those are like my vertical antennas, and then all my wire antennas I usually keep in a separate bag depending on what the radio is or what I'm doing. And then I also have a third layer, which is another wire antenna in my truck in a specific saddle bag. And if you're interested in seeing how I do all that, you can head over and check out my truck install, because one of the saddle bags I put a tuner, a backup 56-to-1, a backup 49-to-1 end fed, and a bunch of other like wires and connectors and stuff like that. So if at all I need, you know, or I need something in a pinch, I can always go back to that, and it's a kind of a backup to the backup. And it's always that old model that we all talk about, N+1. So let's do the last step here, because I want to kind of share my bag with you a little bit. And so we're going to do a little camera scan here. So let me pop over to my other camera here. So let's take this off. Okay. So sorry for the jittery here. So I'm going to try to do this together as well as while trying to talk into my microphone. So let's start at the top. I love this hook. This is a, pull this out here. This is a Gear Aid hook. So if you're looking at this and going, what the heck is this? I love to be able to hang my bags from something if I can, instead of leaving them on the ground. This hook is rated at, I think, over 650 pounds. It's not a climbing hook, but the cool factor to it is if you open it up, this hook on the top acts like a, sorry for the camera movement, guys, I'm trying to do it one-handed here, acts like another hook. So I can hang this like in a closet, or I can put it in a, you know, on a very thick tree branch, or hanging off the bench. And so it keeps my bag from having to be on the ground, and, you know, birds and dust and bugs and other things from getting in the bag itself. So, you know, that's always great to see there, and just bring me back in the view. So let's kind of go further into my bag here. Obviously, being a YouTuber, you have to have all of the stands and tripods. These are great too for, say like you have a Buddy Pro, and everybody knows the electric fence post thing, but you can't carry an electric fence post with you when you want to go on the plane because it's an actual weapon. I have these Your Rig tripod stands, and if I put this down here real quick, come on camera, and I set this up, you'll see that it's basically an adjustable stand here. And it covers a pretty, I think it's like almost 4.5 feet tall. Yeah, actually, no, it's probably almost 5 feet tall in height. And it offers a lot of flexibility. So if you've got like a Buddy Pro and you need something to be able to do a quick, you know, elevated radial, great little thing. And you just have to put a small little, like maybe, you know, sandbag weight on the bottom to keep things from blowing over if that's the case. So I have a couple of those in my bag here. And so if we go to the front of my bag, and this bag is a 10 by 42 quart bag, has multiple zippers. It's a camera bag per se, but I kind of turned it into a bag that I use for all of my camera gear, my radios, that type of stuff. And so in the front, I've got slots for everything you can think of. I put all of my bags in the front here so I can get access to them. Then there is the pens and paper that I have in here. My Writer's Rain, my small little space pen is there. I have a Writer's Rain notebook as well in here, and a lot of extra space for, you know, things like cards and stuff like that. Then my laptop or logging device goes in here, and I can put actually both of them in there without too much effort, and they all zip up. It's got a lot of MOLLE on the front, so if I need to hang stuff off of it or whatever, that's super helpful. And then that is kind of the front, and then the top, because if I have to do more recording for YouTube's or I need like mounts and whatever, I've got all of my other backup mounts, suction cup mounts, that type of stuff in the bag. That is, just kind of there and available for me to use if I need them in a pinch or whatever. So if we go into the bag, let me go over here. So we're going to unzip this. This is a super padded bag. It gets super heavy with the radio in it, not like majorly heavy, but it's quite heavy. So as we kind of start here, I've got a zippered fly here, and in it, we've got all of my batteries, kind of connectors, bits and bobs, more stands and stuff like that, that I might need for use in and out in the field. I keep all of my small little things like clips and tighteners all in here because you never know when you're going to need them. And then so if we proceed down to the rest of the case here, 891 fits nice and comfortable here. On here on this side, I put my analyzer, and I use a Rig Expert 230 there. That's a blue analyzer. My batteries fit here, and I'm mostly using Bioenno. I'm trying to think up to. Good question. They're definitely, the bigger, heftier size batteries are not like anything more than 50 amp hours. I think. No, 50 amp hours is a little too much. I'm escaping me exactly what I have, but you've probably seen them in many of my videos. And then I have compartments here for basically all of the stuff you saw up on the bench there. This is all of my memory cards. So with being a YouTuber, you have to have a lot of memory cards. So I've got them all organized appropriately for clean cards and cards that have stuff in them. So, I can pull out as many of them, and no, I don't have all of them filled. I don't have that memory cards, but I've got quite a few in here. And so, yeah, I keep that ready available. And then this little side pocket here, I keep a GoPro. I have two GoPros, both stacked on each other. One's down below and one's underneath. And really, they're just meant to be for recording purposes. So if you're not doing the YouTube stuff, a lot of this stuff can, probably come out of your kit. Again, charging devices for battery backups and charging out in the field for my cameras. I've got a nice little dead cat microphone, windscreen, and then my sundry of, cables to hook up things and stuff like that. So that is pretty much it. So I don't try to keep my antennas in the same bag because for whatever reason, I just prefer not to worry about trying to keep everything together, because if I compartmentalize some stuff and make sure that if I need to grab one thing over another, I can do that. It also helps me be a little bit more modular. So I have a bag that you might have seen on my channel before that's called my Beach Go bag. It's a smaller version. It's got my FX4CR in it, and it has a couple of antennas in it, but I usually have a separate bag for that. So if I want to bring my vertical to the beach, I can easily grab my vertical bag for my vertical antenna, and then I can grab the FX4CR, and I'm off to doing whatever activation I want to do there. So, having flexibility definitely helps in at least my setup and how I do things. And you might find the same when you're doing yours and trying to, keep sanity amongst all of the stuff that's going on. So, yeah. That is my POTA setup. And so hopefully, it showed you a little, insight behind the curtain there and gave you a little bit of, understanding of, what I do and how I do my activations. And I'm always evolving that. And so let me kind of throw these last through 3 tips to you. First one is your POTA kit is never going to look like it when you first started, because you're going to start to get better and better and better every activation you do and every park you get out to and every experience you have about forgetting an antenna or your cable or your coax or whatever. So know that whatever it looks like today is not going to look like it in a year or 2 years down the road. especially as you start to add more radios and, change your operating style and stuff like that. Second thing is try to standardize your kits, meaning that if you got one radio and a battery and a couple other things, we'll try to keep that all together. And if the bag itself doesn't allow enough space to put in an antenna, think about increasing the bag size itself. Give yourself some room to be able to add those things in. And that includes things like your laptop, battery, a water bottle, all of those things. So you're really only grabbing one thing and going. K at MRD does a really good job, I think, with a lot of his small mini bags. And you can always head over to his site, check him out. And I know he did one just recently for his QMX that I thought was really, really cool. And, again, it follows along that lines. Everything kind of stays in the kit itself and doesn't get moved to something else. So think in those terms, or think in the other side of things. Like I mentioned before, create antenna bags that are antenna specific, that has everything you would need from A to Z to set up that antenna, whether or not you're using your radio or whatever. And the same thing goes with your radio bag. Just make sure it's radio focused and has all the connectors and types of pieces that it needs to be able to make your radio experience that simpler when you go out to activate with somebody else and you want to use their antenna. And then the third thing is take notes. I have a note in my iPhone under my notes app that is my constant, like, oh, I didn't do this when I did this last activation. I need to add this to the bag, or this change I did to blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of like an ongoing running log. Being in the software and hardware world, bugs are always a problem. I always kind of look at that as a bug feature document. And so as I track things that need to improve and note things that worked really well, I kind of just keep that going and then help to apply that across all of my configurations. So everything works out in the best way possible for when I go to an activation, because as I may have mentioned in the past, I am number one comfort. I do not want to go out and activate on a toothpick and a rusty nail and a piece of old fence wire. I want to be able to have the comforts that I need to be able to make my activation the best it can be, because ultimately it's going to be one of those activations that's going to be tough. It could be. I mean, you never know. And why have to struggle with your gear when, you're already going to have to struggle with the propagation conditions and stuff like that, or the situation you're in, or the environment, or the weather, or whatever. So yeah, those are my tips, and hopefully they were helpful for you. Hopefully you got something out of them. Hopefully, I didn't let you guys all fall asleep. I know, this stuff is the fun stuff for me. This is where I like to build and improve and change and grow. And so I'm going to throw a challenge to you guys. Let me know. Head on over to our Discord. We have in our Discord, and those that may not know it, if you click the link down in our show description below, there is a Discord. This is a Live Free and Ham Discord, and we have a N1JUR specific channel called N1JUR Brew and Activate on Sunday. Head on over to that channel, say hello, but post your equipment. I'm curious to see what you guys have for lists here. Like I mentioned when I very first started this episode, I'm keeping a running log, and we're building kind of a guide that can be an ebook for anybody who wants to kind of get into parks on the air, because I know there's always new people and they always ask the same questions. So I'm trying to assemble something that can be helpful, and the best way to do that is through folks like yourself, community based. I know there's the POTA book, and that POTA book is great, but in essence, I want something that's free for somebody that they can grab and read, and get them going with the intention that they can build upon it and grow. So yeah, let's share our stories. Share with me what gear you guys have, how you do your setups in terms of managing your antennas and managing your radios and logging and all that stuff. And let's kind of learn and grow and see how we can get better. All right. Well, that I think is a good place to kind of sit down and put a close to this. But hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. If you've been enjoying the show so far, make sure you hit that like button below and subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. And if you want to help us grow, head on over to our community at Live Free and Ham. There is a bunch of other YouTubers that are like-minded, love POTA, love ham radio, talk about ham radio, and have fun doing it. And, myself and Grouch and Todd and a bunch of our friends from the Northeast Ham Radio crew are all up there hanging out and having fun. And so check that out and come be a part of that activity. And heck, we can all just have some fun and grow and do this hobby we call ham radio. So thanks again for hanging out with me once again on Brew and Activate. I hope you enjoyed all of the stories and my bag review of how I do activations. And we'll continue to, press forward and do this once again next Sunday. And I promise we will be live this Sunday. That's Sunday, because we're back on track. And stay tuned for some interesting conversations and topics. I'm still kind of thinking of how and what I want to talk about. I'm sure a lot of stuff will come out of the 24-hour POTA that might inspire me to chit-chat about it. So with that, thanks again. Check out the community. If you want to help out the show, you want to be part of the N1JUR community there, head over to my Patreon page or become a YouTube subscriber. We've got a whole ton of links and resources and stuff that we give to all of our Patreons that I want to, continue to fill and backfill and share with you guys. So if you want access to our newer videos as they come out before they're released to the general public, and discounts on t-shirts and swag and all other stuff, then definitely that's one way you can help the channel there. And for all those that are supporters and part of the Live Free and Ham. See, I'm still thinking like we're 24 hour, all that are part of the N1JUR community. You can come be part of that. And as always, until next time, keep your radios on, the PTT down, and as always, POTA on.